All right, are we having fun yet? I hope so. As a journalist and as a researcher, I've learned to appreciate the simple question, because the fact of the matter is simple questions rarely have simple answers. And after almost 20 years of reviewing video games and looking at games and trying to figure out what makes a game fun or what makes one game better than the other, I turned my attention to places, the places that we live and work and play. And I asked, what makes a place fun? And I thought this would be kind of an easy question to answer, but it turned out that it wasn't. And let me give you a quick example to show you why. This is a fun place. At least to me and millions of other people, for the last 55 years, Disneyland has been one of the most fun places on the planet, and we have voted with our bank books to prove this case. The problem with Disneyland isn't whether or not it's fun, because obviously, quantitatively, it's a fun place. The problem with Disneyland are all the people that don't like Disneyland. And it sort of raises this question, well, what is this fun thing? It appears to be a taste. It doesn't seem to really have any sort of like really philosophical or fundamental basis. And so we come to this question then of fun. What is fun? Is fun just taste? Is it just in the eye of the beholder? Well, I don't like that as a researcher, because that sort of sounds like the question of beauty, because if beauty is in the eye of the beholder, then there's nothing that we share commonly. There's not a value to beauty. It's just whatever you like. And I don't like that, because that doesn't make sense to me. It means there's got to be something underlying it. So I started to look at fun itself to sort of say, what is it that we share across our taste? What is it we share across our cultures? What do we share across time that we call fun, so that we can actually start to talk about a fundamental concept that's fun? Now, it's a big question now, suddenly, so I have a simple answer for you. Here's my example. Here it is. Imagine it's Halloween, and you're a police officer, and you put on your uniform, and you go out. That's work. That's not fun. In fact, it might be the actually opposite of fun. On the other hand, if you put on a police officer's uniform on Halloween and you're not a police officer, that's fun. I'm having fun. Look, I'm a cop. You're under arrest. Got my eye on you. Now, wait a minute. This presents an interesting contradiction, right? Because it's the same kind of outfit. In many respects, maybe even some of the same behaviors, but for one person, it's not fun. For the other, it is. I think that the answer is really pretty simple when you look at it. Putting on a costume on Halloween allows you to, for the moment, be something that you're not. But the important thing is that both things are true at the same time. For that moment in time, you are both a police officer and not a police officer. And if you start to pretend that you really are a police officer, that's fraud and you will end up in jail, and that's not fun. So this idea of fun really is this kind of crazy paradox, this ambiguity between something that is and is not simultaneously, and it has to be both at the same time. Now, I'll give you a moment to soak on that, because as grown-ups we're taught that's not cool. Things are one thing or the other. They're not both. But I'll tell you what, there is a class of scholar which understands this ambiguity, this is not very well, and they're called kids. And kids never actually have to be taught this, because they understand that if you put on a spaceman suit, you are a spaceman. The delusion does not go so far as to think that they're going to go suddenly fly on their bed to another planet. Nor as parents do you spend time trying to convince them that, in fact, they're insane to think that they're spacemen. No, you go, that's just cool. You're a spaceman, because they know that they're not. And in fact, this goes so far as that, you can put on a pair of pajamas, a colander, and snow boots and be a spaceman. Because kids understand the more you're like a spaceman, the more fun it is, because they're not a spaceman. Kids understand the ambiguity. So if you followed me this far, we got to turn to the question of fun. Okay, that's cool, putting on costumes, I get that. But what about places? How does it work with places? Well, let me go back to Disneyland, because I think that Disneyland is sort of a great, giant test tube of fun. And if you look at this concept applied to Disneyland, it's easy. You could do this at home on your own. Disneyland builds places. They build rivers that are not rivers. They take you on jungle cruises that aren't jungle cruises. They let you see animals that aren't animals. The biggest complaint people that hate Disney is, I don't like Disneyland, it's fake. Which is weird, because it's there, it's material. The biggest response to this by Disney fans is, duh, that's why I like it. I know it's not a real elephant, that would be weird, They build fake mountains, which are picturesque and beautiful. And we go, that's cool, it's a fake mountain, I love it, it looks awesome. They build fake houses that are actually rides. It's a house, there it is. It's an antebellum mansion, but it's not a house. It's a ride. It's both is and isn't what it says that it is. Even better, it's a haunted house, because haunted house is this whole other area of places that are and are not, right? They are a house, but there's something else going on. They're two things at once. My favorite example, here's a house for a mouse that's not a house for something that's not a mouse. And one of the reasons why it's my favorite thing is if you've ever been to this, there's a living room, there's a kitchen, there's a bedroom, there's a garage. There's actually even a mouse. He's there. You can say hi to him. But all this is kind of fake, but it's fake in a weird way because you actually can see the doorknobs to the closets, the paint's worn off of them. Why? Because people so desperately want to participate in this thing that's there. There's a handle. I can turn it, but it doesn't turn because there's a doorknob that's not a doorknob, to a closet that's not a closet, and a house that's not a house, for a mouse that's not a mouse. And we love this. We eat it up. That's fun. The definition of fun is stuff that is what it isn't and isn't what it is. So if we take this is not concept, you might think I'm cheating a little bit talking about Disneyland. Again, that's the test tube. It turns out that if fun is like beauty, if it's this fundamental human thing, then we should see it everywhere. It shouldn't just be reserved by the Disney company and trademarked. And frankly, it's not. It's everywhere when you start to look at it. So let me just show you some other examples and kind of characterize just how broad this concept of fun really is. First of all, a castle is a kind of a cool historical place. It might be kind of neat to go to look at. They're interesting. But a castle that's built in the middle of the woods in Colorado, this is Bishop's Castle in Rye, Colorado, not only is that weird, that's fun because it's a castle that's not a castle because it didn't protect anybody. It's a castle out of time and place. So it's not exactly what it says it is. It's there, it's built of stone, it's a castle, but it's at the same time not a castle. Or how about this? It's a deserted town in the Mojave Desert, Calico. There's a lot of these buildings. This building is built of bottles. And the standard response is always like, well, they used bottles because it was an available building material, which doesn't make any sense at all because the rest of the town wasn't built from bottles. What's really going on here, I think, is this is a brick that's not a brick. It's a fun house because it's built out of a material that denies its own materiality. It's something that says, a bottle's not something you build with, but I've built with it. So it's both things at the same time, and it creates that ambiguity, that collision, that fun. Or how about this? James Lafferty built a series of these buildings that look like elephants. Not only this, he's got a patent in the patent office. He built a hotel out of this. He thought this was the coolest idea, that it was like the best idea for building buildings, that somehow it was good for your health to build buildings that look like animals. But to us, it's like, well, it's cool because it's a building that's not a building. It's a building that's maybe a sculpture. It's a building that's an elephant. It's an elephant that's not an elephant. And that's just immediately fun. There's nothing about it that's not fun because it both is what it says it is and at the same time contradicts that and says it's not what it says it is. Or how about Burning Man? I'm sure we've got Burning Man people here. The urban planner in me is excited about Burning Man because it's a city of 50,000 people that's not a city. You know, for a long weekend, it acts kind of like a weird city, and then it's gone, which cities don't go away like overnight like that. You don't pack them up. And so part of the heart of Burning Man is a civilization that you can build temporarily, which feels permanent. It's an amazing situation. Or how about the City Museum in St. Louis, a museum where you can touch things. It's a museum without catalogs. It's a museum that's not a museum. Or how about this? In Stockholm, Sweden, they built stairs that if you walk up and down, they make piano sounds. And they did this to try to get people to stop using the escalator. And 66% more people started using the stairs instead of the escalator because it was more fun to walk on piano stairs, right? Because those are stairs that are not stairs. They get you up and they take you down, but they play music on the way. That's fun. But I'll leave you with this. Does that mean we should turn all stairs into piano stairs, all stairs into fun? I'm not sure, because in a world where all stairs are piano stairs, what will everyone do? They'll ride that magical moving staircase that both isn't and is a staircase. So that's the challenge of fun. It's always going to be testing you. Thank you.